G'day guys, Toast20 here and welcome back to City Skylines Sunset Harbour. If you haven't seen the last episode, I highly suggest you go and check that out. It gives you a bit of a backstory behind the whole reason why I'm building this and what's going on, but I'll just give you a quick lowdown of what's happening. This is a city that I built a couple of months ago for Paradox Interactive. They asked me to build a city to basically showcase the new DLC Sunset Harbour, and this was shown in the, well, this was used for the trailer basically. Cheeses was also asked to build one, and he had a second city that he built, and yeah, that's pretty much it. We're like in the middle of building, and I will be giving you a bit more of a lowdown of how the city works and all the special features of it in a live play at around the 15-minute mark. So if you're interested in just checking that out, then you can, go and check it out. But you should just totally stick around for the time lapse too, because yeah, I do some pretty interesting things, I guess, potentially. I don't know, probably. I can't remember. But what I am doing at the moment is pretty much just like continuing work on the road layout. You can see that I haven't even pressed play yet, so no one has even moved into this city. It's all just roads and buildings that I've just plopped down. Just waiting until I have like everything all how it should be, and then I'm just going to press play. Actually, I'm pretty sure I pressed play in like, I don't know, 5 minutes or so. There's still like a little bit of planning that I wanted to do. And this is kind of like getting to the point of the building process of me just going like, oh, I just really want to see people move in. So I'm like itching now. I'm itching to get people in. And I'm sort of working on at the moment like the outskirts of the city. So areas that I don't think Paradox are going to fly around to get shots for the trailer. So I'm putting in slightly less effort into these areas, but again, like trying to get some areas kind of eye candy-ish, so that they can potentially use them for the trailer. But I also just want to see trains moving around and doing different things. So around here, I wanted it to sort of like weave in and out of some of the more residential areas, because before, like, it's been mostly just focused around the downtown. So I thought, you know what, we'll get the metro to go through the downtown, or to go through the suburbs, and it'll go through the industry and make its way all the way to the big international. Actually, I don't think it's the international airport. I can't remember the name of it. It's the I think it's just called the airport hub. I can't remember, but it's yeah, the airport. We'll call it the international airport. But it's a really great looking airport, and I wanted the metro to get all the way out that way too, and not just for traffic. Like, I didn't want to just see lots of train traffic coming along, but I also just wanted to see it, going around in some interesting spots. So I decided to drag it around in pretty much every location of the city. Doing a lot of plopping of buildings, but only in certain areas. So I knew that this area around the metro line, metro stations, that is, I wanted there to be, a bit of density. So almost like a second skyline for the city, because we've got the main skyline, and then I wanted there to be a couple of other little areas that have a bit more high density. So I just wanted to place down a couple of buildings just to show that there is a bit of growth in those areas too. And then I'm pretty sure getting close to zoning some areas, because yeah, I'm going to be doing a fair bit of zoning in this, and I will also be doing a fair bit of zoning in my next series too. Actually, I want to say series. I want to do a lot of zoning, so we'll see how that goes. But that is the plan, at least, because I think zoning is actually quite powerful, and something that I've just haven't done for a long time, but I plan to do a lot more of it down the track, because I think it's pretty useful, especially if you want to, get a big bulk of area completed without, too much effort. Can't believe I'm explaining why you have to zone. That is ridiculous. Why am I explaining this? We all know how good zoning is. It's just been a while since I've done it. But yeah, here I go, zoning out some areas. Again, going like high density in some areas and lower density in others. So just doing a real mix. It's been ages since I've zoned, so this is actually kind of like a big process, because, I was sort of like, oh cool, now I'll just zone up and watch the city grow. And this took ages. It took ages to zone. Who would have thought? It's probably why I stopped doing it. No, plopping buildings is definitely far worse. And I'm pretty sure I'm probably doing it the long way, yeah. So I'm using a couple of different techniques when it comes to zoning different areas. A couple of different suburbs too. So there's, a lot of different areas in this city. I wanted it to be a very like sprawling big city. That's one of the criteria that Paradox sort of gave us, is they wanted it to look like a big sprawling city. We had to use all 9 of the tiles that we were allowed to purchase, but they wanted obviously the most amount of buildings, most amount of density around the downtown, and then sprawling around in different sort of areas. I've also used a lot of highways. I'm a massive fan of highways, not just because they help the city move and get around, but I actually just think they look really awesome. I love the way that highways sort of like break up and show like different areas of a city. I just like that in real life, so that's sort of why I can see that. And yeah, now I have pressed play and we are watching the city grow. I've also just realized that there's a lot of services that I didn't give the city, so you're probably going to see a lot of that, me like pressing play and then going like, I forgot to place down some water, forgot to place down some power. So yeah, a lot of me going back and forth between zoning and watching the city grow, and then also freaking out that we don't have enough services. But yeah, this is getting to like the best part, because now things are starting to grow and we're starting to watch the city come to life, which is pretty cool. I can't remember what the final population is with the city, but it gets pretty big. Like it's something like around 40,000 or something, which is pretty decent sized city for. I mean, this did take a while to build. Like, it might not look like it, but it took ages to build this city. I can't tell whether it was because... Actually, there's probably a lot of factors behind the reason why it took so long. It took long because I wasn't used to using such a limited amount of assets and mods, but it was also tricky because we had to really showcase a lot of the features of the new DLC, and we also had to sort of be in sync as well, so we had to do a lot of like back and forth communication, trying to figure out what we needed in certain areas and what we didn't need in other areas. And there's also a lot of footage that I had to just not leave into this because it would have been much longer. I think if I was to leave all the footage that I recorded, probably would have been like 4 or 5 episodes. Now that the city's starting to grow, I wanted to start putting in a bit of industry and expanding out the industrial side of the city, because that's like a massive part of the new DLC, so I knew that I had to put a lot of effort into the way that the industrial areas looked. And I also wanted to give a little bit of room for the wastewater treatment facility, because that was another feature of the DLC. I thought it would be a pretty good like location around here. I can't remember if I've placed it down already. I think I might have placed down a couple of them. Again, I built this like 3-4 months ago, so I'm just trying to like remember exactly what I ended up placing down. I'm actually looking forward to getting back into game and checking out everything that I built. Be a bit of a reminder of the things that I did and how everything works. So I'm gonna save that until I get into the live play. I think I'm still yet to open it up and check out everything. I wanted there to be a lot of different services out this way too. So this is like the only area that we're getting like freight industry. This pretty much completely bypasses the downtown and the rest of the city. I did something pretty unrealistic, and I just like drag the train line underground. So a lot of like the main areas that you'll see like detail and effort being put into it are like all the way around like where the harbor is, because that was sort of like the main focus is around the harbor and the on the bay area. Whereas as we get like further out of the city, it's I just do like massive roundabouts in terms of like when it comes to like transport and stuff, and the houses and stuff, the suburbs, they don't look quite as realistic. But I will do a couple little techniques just to like make it look finished, because I didn't, I don't know, I'm a bit crazy. I didn't want to just, have total, unrealistic looking suburbs at the very end of every area of the city. So I will put like a little bit of effort into some areas, but then other areas I really had to be quite disciplined and not do too much work. So this area is like a pretty industrial area. I will end up putting in some suburbs in this spot too, but this is like all around this, because I wanted this main focus just here is the, obviously the airport. So I didn't want to like do too much detail, but I knew that this would be a pretty like iconic area. I can't remember if this actually features that much in the trailer, to be honest. I don't know if they really did that, so I'll make sure I show you a fair bit of it in the live play. But basically I wanted there to like be this pretty big interchange right next to right next to the airport, obviously, because there's gonna be a lot of traffic, which you will end up seeing a fair bit of traffic build up around here. It does work pretty well, but yeah, we still get a bit of traffic banking up. But there is like a metro that's underneath the that's built into the actual airport, so a lot of the people who are coming in and out of the airport, they are just going via the metro line, and a fair bit of people end up using the helicopter, which is great because it shows that it's got a lot of functionality, a lot of people are using it, but at the same time it's like very busy. Like, in real life, the only people using helicopters would be like, super wealthy. So, that's kind of like a bit of an unrealistic aspect to it, I guess. But, in terms of like the game and, seeing things all work and move around and stuff, it looks pretty good. So this is me connecting up the metro, and now I'm starting to do like a bit of work in terms of like getting everything all connected and making sure it works the way it should, putting in a lot of different metro lines and stations so that people can get around the city, because it's getting to be pretty big. What are we up to? 22,000 people. Yeah, I think we end up doubling that. I'm pretty sure we end up doubling it. So I wanted to make sure there was like a fair amount of people getting around using the metro line, and I think that's where like the metro line really comes into, you really see the benefits of it, is that like most of it's hidden underground. Obviously like putting it above ground is, I guess, like making it harder to use and probably not functioning quite as well as it should be, but then you get to see it. And I think that's like the only reason why I never use the metro line within this game, is because you can't see the metro, and I think that's like a real waste, because I want to see everything moving around. I don't care if it's all happening underground. That sort of like defeats the purpose for me. So actually having the metro line come above ground, I think is like a huge draw to this expansion pack. So I think if I was to be playing mostly vanilla, I'd probably be grabbing this just for that aspect. And then this is also coming to console players, so I can imagine a lot of console players getting really excited for that part of it too. I've only ever played the console when I went to PDXCon last year, and it was pretty interesting. It was a very unique way of playing, and yeah, I don't know if I could play the way that I wouldn't be able to play the way that I play using console, but it's still pretty interesting. I do I think it's pretty cool that it's even out on the console, because I think that's, SimCity never made it out there. I'm pretty sure SimCity never made it onto console. Could be wrong. Let me know if I'm wrong. So yeah, made a lot of my transport connections. They're all pretty much up and running now. And because most people have moved in, we're now starting to work on the detail work around these like gaps. So I probably didn't really need to do as much detail as I ended up doing, but I just couldn't help myself. I felt like, I've already put a lot of work into this project. I wanted to finish it off by, detailing up some of the highways and making things just come to life. And I tell you what, like, I know this is all vanilla and this is very different to the way that I play. Like, usually underneath these highways I put like, all sorts of different things. I'd change the color of the ground, and I'd, put some, bushes and, other sort of man-made, car parks or like, stuff like that. But here I was just going, all the way around these interchanges, I'll just put a whole bunch of trees, and the effect is cool. Like, I really like these like garden lined highways, using the prop line tool, which is, again, this is not part of the, this is a mod, obviously. So just using the prop line tool, just to like drag some of these trees out, and again, you can achieve the same effect by just being very careful the way that you place down your trees. But because I'm sort of working on a project that has a specific deadline and has a look pretty high standard, I just thought, what, I'm going to use prop line tool, drag these out, and yeah, I think the result's definitely worth it. Definitely saves. That would have taken forever, just plopping down each and every tree. That would have just killed me. So there's like a lot of gaps because I can't use very many I can't use anarchy to the extent that I usually would, so we're getting a lot of these gaps between the highways and in between houses and stuff. So using trees just to place between them works quite well, and just like makes the whole city just become like this real garden and really well manicured sort of place. So that was something that I really did enjoy about like creating this area was creating the city was it just looks like a really nice, well manicured sort of city, and I actually think it would have been easier to create a European city, because I think that's you do have like a lot of these sort of like garden and parks and well manicured sort of areas, you know, if you're building a historical city. So, you know, I wouldn't mind trying that within like a European setting, whereas like I feel like if I was basing this off Sydney, there's so many imperfections that you can't really get when you're you know, trying to build such well manicured areas. Speaking of Sydney, this was my inspiration for this little headland that I've built here. This is like I probably wouldn't have ever chosen to. I would have done so much terraforming if I had the choice. I probably wouldn't have kept this little headland where it is, because I think it's a little bit unrealistic in terms of, you know, building what is a realistic city. However, I had to keep it, and I actually don't mind the way it turned out. I was taking inspiration from the Opera House in Sydney, and Cheesh's, he ended up doing, I'm pretty sure, like a fort or like a palace or church, something like that on his city. I'm not sure if he's actually going to release a build time lapse of that. I'm not really sure. I haven't spoken to him since, but yeah, his city turned out quite amazing. You probably saw a bunch of it in the trailer, but I really love the work that he did. Now I'm starting to detail up the airport, and this is like such an easy effect by you know, creating these like taxiways for the or like service roads for the people who work at the airport, just by using these pathways, and they work so well. It's like a really easy way of just extending out your airports, making these vanilla ones just look a little bit bigger, because they can tend to look a little bit smaller. I'm sure a lot of people are telling me that those houses are too close to the airport and the trees are too close to the runway, but you know what? I don't care. It's fine. I think it looks fine the way it is. And now I'm just finishing around the outskirts by placing in some farms that obviously don't function as farms, but they just sort of make the city look a little bit more complete. So yeah, we are finishing the time lapse. Let's get into the live play, and I can show you a little bit more detail about how the city works and all the little bits of detail you probably didn't get to see in the time lapse. Alrighty, here it is in all its glory, the finished product. Quite happy with how it turned out. There's some areas that I'm a bit, you know, not massively proud of. There's a lot of areas I'm not massively proud of, but I will give you a bit of a tour of everything that I did. Not everything, just most things. I want to quickly just show you though that I've changed the graphics settings. So let's have a look at my eye candy, ultimate eye candy settings, and I'm also using Relight too, if you can see that. They're my settings for it. They're pretty basic. I just whipped them together just so I could give you a bit more of an interesting and much nicer viewing of the city rather than just using the vanilla way. And what else? I've also got Daylight Classic also enabled, which gives me clouds, which I think is pretty nice. So where do I even start? Let's start with the harbor, which is just insanely busy. It is so busy down here, unrealistically busy. I don't think I'd probably put this many boats or this many there's so much fishing industry in one area, but I had to showcase all of them. So let's actually have a look. Yeah, so you can see there's a lot of different lines, and I was just like drawing them around everywhere because I wanted to see a lot of the boats just sort of like making their way around everything. And I think I probably would, if I was going to do this in a more realistic way, I'd probably have them kind of avoiding the docks and avoiding the harbors, because they just crash right into each other. So I think that's something I would change in the future. And I probably would have them go all the way out here. I mean, it'd probably lose your money because I think they get to a certain capacity and then they make their way back. But I just think that'll look really cool seeing boats kind of go all the way out into the ocean. And I also like that there's no buoys in the water, you know? So you don't have these like paths. You know, with the ferries, you got these lines that you can see going around the water, and I don't really like that. Whereas these are just sort of like just doing their thing. And they just give the harbour or the Bay Area just a bit more life, which kind of keen to see in Marble Mountain, so I might actually do something similar. But yeah, probably just one because this is a little bit unrealistic. So the Bay Area is the most alive because, you know, the DLC is all about the harbour, all about the different features of the waterways. So I had to really make sure that, you know, I was doing a lot of work mostly around here. Whereas if I was building like a realistic city, it would probably, the downtown probably wouldn't be here. It'd be probably somewhere like this. And then it'd have, if I was going to build this again, if I had a choice of whereabouts I was going to build, I'd probably build the downtown about here and have like, you know, coastal areas. Because at the moment I'm not utilizing any of this space, and I think I would have liked to done that. And speaking of things I would have liked to get to, my plan was to get out this far, but classic me, just thinking I was going to get much further than I really did. Look, I even drew like a road coming out this way thinking I was going to get here, but just never got the chance. So when this was due, I madly quickly slapped together just the outskirts of the town, just sort of dragging lines of trees, and I kind of thought they made for decent looking, I don't know, kind of good looking farms, but if I had if I had the Industries DLC, that'd be definitely room for some farms. So let's have a look at the downtown. This is where the bulk of the largest buildings are. So I wanted the harbour to make it look like there was probably maybe once industry here, so these sort of resemble docks, but now have been turned into like parks. This is my nod to the Opera House, because Paradox said that they wanted some sort of inspiration from Sydney, which is good because that's where I'm from. So that's my Opera House. We've got the aquarium here, which fits in pretty well in that spot. I actually really like that building. Pretty sure it's from Korea or Japan or something in real life. I was really stuck with the amount of buildings I could use for the downtown. There's so many buildings that I wanted to use, like some much higher skyscrapers, but ultimately this guy ended up being the tallest one, which is fine. It's not too bad. So that's my downtown. It's it resembles a lot of Sydney, doesn't it? Or at least a little bit. Probably my favorite parts of the downtown would probably be like this area over here. This is like one of the first areas I built. Why am I losing frames? That's a bit better. Yeah, I really like this area. I think it turned out pretty nice. This is like one of my favorite vanilla buildings. So the metro. We'll talk about the metro, but this is my train. This is my metro classic $2 move by placing the metro line in the middle of the highway. I really thought that this was going to make the trailer, but it didn't. There was even a shot where they followed the highway. I think it was in another city, and I followed the highway, and I was like, here it comes. Here comes a transition to my metro line. And then, no, they didn't do it, but that's all right. You can see it here. And yeah, sprawling suburbs. My industry section is over here. No, let's not get over there just yet. I've got a few more things to show you first. I wanted to have like a central park sort of area around here. So this is like the biggest park we have in the city. This is such a great looking building. So I placed that down. I thought it fit in pretty well. The metro service pretty much goes around the entire length of the city. Let's actually have a little look at that. Where do I go? I go here. Cool. So the green line is all my metro. Now it targets like a lot of the areas, but it's very unrealistic. It's just like placed very randomly. The reason why is because I had to make it do particular things. I wasn't really worried too much whether it functioned like a real city. I just wanted it to just get around to places. So it's not, it's not placed in a realistic manner whatsoever. But it does get to some pretty interesting spots. I also had to make sure it did like lots of the features. Like I pretty much had to do everything. So I had to do elevated, had to do underground, and I had to do ground level 2, which it does at this cargo hub, which is just on the outskirts of the city. So outskirts of the downtown. Yeah, I'm not sure how proud I am of this area. This is a bit more slapped together. But these cargo hubs are not cargo hubs. These hubs, transport hubs, are really useful. I wouldn't mind using some of them at some stage. Public transport hubs. Yeah, these are amazing. These are really, really cool. The new additions are really great. So I plan to use a fair amount of these down the track. What else can I show you? This intersection, I really love it. I like the way it turned out. I love big, bulky intersections right next to the downtown. I think they're kind of interesting. So I ended up placing one of them right next to the downtown, and I really like it. Really like its location. Obviously didn't build this. I can't remember who did build it, but good job. I love it. It's in a good spot. So coming around here, I don't know if you saw me build this, but there's actually a complete bypass that just goes underground here and connects back up to the highway. Functions pretty well. It actually means that a lot of traffic flow gets like in and out of the downtown pretty easily. I was worried about this road here, but it's got a bit of traffic, but it's not too bad. What can I talk about? This is like my second skyline, I guess, or second like tallest area of the city. So we have this being the tallest area, but then I kind of wanted this area to be like a little bit more of a, you know, high density sort of spot, being so close to another metro line, metro station, I have to say, and also the industry too. I thought that would be, you know, pretty realistic. Sunken train line here, which is where all the cargo's coming in and out of. Got my fish market, which again is a really cool addition to City Skylines. I really like these things. I'm also wondering what the people on the workshop or the asset creators can, you know, do with some of these sort of things. Be cool to see like a custom built one. I'll be pretty keen to see that. What else can I show you? I also built this. So this is the inland water treatment plant. These are great. I really like these. Yeah, I didn't do too much detail in this area to be honest, but yeah, it's there. I needed to place it down so it's there. Here is the airport. Like I said before, I really like this airport. I think you can do a fair amount with it, especially by like expanding it out with some of these footpaths. I think they work pretty well at you know, making it look a little bit bigger than it really is. And yeah, you guys are probably going to tell me that these trees are probably too close to the runway, but you know, whatever, it'll do. And what else can I show you? That might be about it. There's like so many helicopters flying around. You probably saw that in all the introductions. So all the beginnings of each video, they are everywhere in the city because I was really making the most of them. I really love them. I think they're a great addition. I know they were also introduced with the Natural Disasters DLC, but I never got that DLC. So I'm been really enjoying watching them fly around the city, and yeah, I'm pretty keen to play around with them with my new series, which will be out most probably next weekend, so fingers crossed for that. But guys, let me know what you think of the city and the new DLC, if you are keen to see some extra things as part of the DLC, and if you've been building a lot and doing some stuff of it, hit me up in Discord. You can send me some pictures there. We've got a whole area for showcasing cities. Be keen to see what you get up to and what you build of it, so yeah, hit me up. But guys, thank you so much for watching this episode. Much appreciated. I want to give a special shout out to some of my patrons like Boss John, Mike Breeden, and Mike and McFarlane. Guys, thank you so much for supporting me on Patreon. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!